Hey everyone, welcome to All About the Joy. This is Carmen Talk, and I'm Carmen Lisette, your host. Thank you for stopping by again. I really appreciate it. And I'm just going to talk about the latest thing I'm thinking about personally, which is a little different from the show. But today I am going to talk about the show, and here's why. This past week, my birthday week. Yes, thank you for saying happy birthday. I really appreciate you. This past week, I met with some friends, and one of them said to me, you have to get better and stronger at marketing and public relations. Now, here's the thing. It's not my thing. It's just not my thing. I've never, ever been good at self-promotion. But you know what? I'm willing to take on a challenge. So I'm going to try to be better about it. So I wrote this blog post today, and I realized, you know what? I need to figure out a way in which to let everyone else know what it is we're doing and why we're doing it. So for the past 8 months, and I know a lot of you who are listening to this already know, but for those of you who may not know, here's the gist of it. In the past 8 months, I've been hosting a show called All About the Joy. It's an online live streaming show. So for those of you who don't know what live streaming is, which is fair enough because I have so many cool boomers and Gen Xers who are listening to the show. So there is no shame in not knowing what it means to have a live streaming show. So for those people who don't know what it is, if you've ever heard of gamers, right, that might give you kind of a weird stereotype. So gamers go online and they're live with friends across the country, across the world even, and they're all playing the same game, right? So we're not playing any games at all, but we are connected to each other online, like a Zoom call, for example, right? It's a Zoom call that we record, and then on the side, we have a chat thing happening where other people can chime in and have conversations with us, and we will read those as we're talking, depending on whatever the subject is. So look at the subjects that we talk about, run the gamut. And it's a really interactive type of experience. So for example, a few weeks ago, we talked about what the best fast food chain is in the United States. And then like last night, we talked about why women prefer to be single. You know, we always touch on issues of business or money. We also like to talk about sci-fi. I'm not going to lie to you. That's not the main gist of our show, but there's a lot of, I'm included in that, a lot of Marvel and Stargate SG-1 fans. So we do talk about sci-fi sometimes, but don't let that deter you because it's still a fun show. We always intertwine our way with some sort of best practices for living a cool and better life for sure. We talk about TV shows. You know, I had never watched I Love Lucy and I got totally slammed for it. So I went and watched it. So it's also a learning experience, right? But at the end of the day, as cheesy as it sounds, it really, really is all about the joy. It's just such a good feeling show. And this is why I love it. And it happened organically. I think that's why I'm so excited about it. So every month, I'd like to do it more often, but every month I try to have a featured guest. And in the last year, without even being as organized as y'all know I prefer to be, okay, we've had a DGA film director. We've had a couple of musicians. We've had a book author, a ghostwriter. We've had an actress, a police officer, a former bank professional, a kidney recipient. We've had so many people on the show come in and just chit chat about all different things, learning a little bit about who they are and what they do. And it's been, I don't know, it fuels me. It gives me so much joy, and I would love to expand on it, right? Now, do we have some rules for the show? Absolutely, of course. One of the rules is we don't talk about religion. And the reason why we don't talk about religion is because it can be very divisive, and it's also just not something I want to talk about on a regular basis, right? And the same thing with politics. I do think that religion and politics have a place. And if I had the ability right now to have a separate show, the same show, all about the joy, but then bring that in on a different day, I might do that. But right now, especially in our country, it's just not something that I have the ability to focus on and still continue to bring joy in that an hour and 15-minute live stream show. So the rules for All About the Joy is we try not to talk about religion and politics. Does it happen once in a while? Absolutely. But we just try to, kind of sway the subject out of the conversation, and everyone is forewarned before they come on as a guest to the show. And we also don't want to disrespect anyone. Right. We also don't want to be accidentally mean. And the thing that I love about our show is that we have Christians on the show. We have Jewish people on the show. We have Muslim people on the show. We have all different races and genders watching and listening and on the show. We really are so inclusive. And so I love that, because at the end of the day, we don't have to worry about disrespecting each other, because we're here. Like, let me tell you the concept of the show, because I think that would make it make more sense, right? It comes from when I was growing up in the city of Boston, and I remember people would come home from a long day at work, right? People would get off at the bus stop and walk down the street, and there would be some of the older ladies wear rollers in their hair with the scarves on, and some of them would be dressed to the nine, and the men would be over on the other side, and they'd be playing cards or they'd be playing dice or whatever. And then some of the young kids would be leaning up against, some souped up car, and there'd be music playing from two of the cars from the same radio station or whatever. And you would be hanging out on the street with your friends, and some song would come on, and everybody would start like dancing and singing and laughing. And there are moments about growing up in a blue collar, poor neighborhood that there's no doubt I choose not to remember. But there was a beautiful sense of community back then when you would walk down that street and everybody knew your name. Everybody knew who you were. Everybody knew your family. And there was a sense of camaraderie. There was a sense of we're in this together, and it made our little world feel so, I don't know what the right word is. I can only say community, but you felt like you were part of something. And so what I'm trying to do, and I know in kind of a weird way, but with the use of technology, is bring people together online once a week on Thursday nights to start forming that sense of community, so we can check in with each other, so we can hang out, so we can laugh about the latest TV show or movie that came out, or talk about the latest crazy TikTok video, which is what we did this past weekend, or, talk about something a little bit more serious, which is, how do you find love if you're single, or whatever it is. We talk about work stuff too, kind of dealing with coworkers or the frustration of working too late when your boss is demanding too much. We just run the gamut. But the whole idea is this place of support and community that I'm trying to develop. And it's kind of cool because it's happening. And I just love it. Oh, by the way, it's free. Like, no one's charging anybody. I pay for everything that has to happen as far as the live streaming service, but it's it's what I'm doing because I'm enjoying it so much, and I love what I'm creating here. So you can join in on the chat. You can come and visit us on the chat and talk, or if you want to be on the show, you can also go to carmensuarez.com or All About the Joy and go to the contact page and send me a note. We are kind of full with people being on the show on a regular basis, but, put you on the wait list. If we have another show or somebody drops out, we'd love to have you. If you've never been on the show, I ask that people at least come on the show once as kind of a little interview type of thing before we have you on with the neighborhood. It's almost like if you moved into a neighborhood, right? You rent your new apartment or you buy your new house. You don't automatically just start hanging out with everybody, right? It takes a minute for everybody to see who you are and get to know you a little bit. And that's kind of the whole vibe with what we're doing. But that's the show. That's what we're working on. I want it to be more substantial in 2024. I mean, it's going great. And if nothing changes, that'd be fantastic, except that I'm exhausted because, like most of the people on the show, we're all working all day long. right? So as much as it seems like a really easy thing to do, to have everyone come on and hang out in the show, it's a lot of work to come up with the subject matter, to plan the show, to produce the show, and then afterwards to edit it and market it, quote unquote market it, because I do social media stuff. But now I'm also doing this, right? So it does take a lot of work. So I want it to become a much bigger platform. And yet I'm really enjoying it as it is. So I'm kind of in a weird flux, but here I am letting you know, I hope you can come listen to the show. And of course, all the links are going to be provided here in the show notes of this Carmen talk. But also you can always go to allaboutthejoy.com to learn more, or you can also go to carmensuarez.com and you can find the blog post that I'm talking about today. And that will also have all of the links. So let me just tell you, the show is on Thursday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific. It's 8 p.m. Central and it's 9 p.m. Eastern. And it's every Thursday night. It's live and you can find us on YouTube, on Twitch, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. But also, if you can't catch us, not everybody stays up that late and, people are busy. You can also still support us by just going and watching the live stream that is recorded on YouTube. You can just go check it out there and go in there and watch it and give us a like. We care more about the views, so don't worry about liking it if you don't. Doesn't matter. But just go and enjoy it. And of course, we always have social media clips on like the funniest, goofiest moments. So you can even just catch those if you're following us anywhere on social media. Again, all of that information is there. I'm just trying to do my best to make sure people know about the show and people are excited about the show. And even if you're not, I appreciate those people who keep supporting me in all my creative endeavors. There is a book that I'm working on for All About the Joy, and it's going to be, the outline right now is really on all of these different types of subject matters on how I think you can have more joy in your life, because that is the template of how I walked through my volatile childhood, like so many people have before me. I'm just able to put it down in writing. And also just how I have taken all of those lessons that I have learned and have incorporated them into my adult life and business and relationships and friendships and in family. So there's that book. And of course, there's the second book to Canella, which I swear I'm going to write at some point, but I just don't have the time. I am grateful to be this busy. I am grateful to do this. So please don't take any of that as complaining. If anything, I'm kind of just reminding myself of how blessed and lucky I am. And I am really grateful that any of you listen and support this show. So thank you for listening to this. I hope you'll join us. I hope you'll be able to watch the show. And I hope that you can find a little bit of happiness and laughter every day in whatever you do. Because I have to tell you, I'm going to keep saying this over and over again. Happiness is something that happens to you. We can't control happiness, just like we can't always control sadness. For me, happiness is external. You eat a piece of cake, you're happy. You get a bonus, you're happy, right? For some of you, you've heard me say this over and over again. But joy, that's something that's internal. We have the ability to find the light, the silver lining, the moment, the little piece of hope to move forward. And to me, all of that is encompassed in the word joy. So you have control of joy in your life. So that's what this is all about. I hope that you find joy today. Thank you so much for all your support and love and kindness. And we'll see you again next week. Thanks for stopping by All About the Joy. Be better and stay beautiful, folks. Have a sweet day.